Before we get started with today's interview, just a quick reminder, click the thumbs up, make sure you subscribe, and ding the bell so that you don't miss any of the great interviews that we have coming up. Now, on to today's interview. Welcome back, everybody. Today, my guest is Diane Hidy. Her piece on the new National Federation of Music Clubs Festivals list is The Rope Swing. You can find it in her book, Attention Grabbers, Book 1. Welcome, Diane. Thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
This piece has these great two-note slurs, some differences in touch with staccato and legato contrast, as well as a whole bunch of different dynamics. Talk to us a little bit about the rope swing.
The rope swing is, what's tricky about it is that the intervals don't match in the two hands. So, for instance, the right hand starts off going up a third, dee-dum, bum, and the left hand goes down a fourth, dee-dum, bum, da-da-da-da, which isn't particularly difficult, except on the next line, it's the other way around. So what I like to do with it is I usually just have students write in the fingering before they start to make sure that they have the knowledge that they need to play it. Now, I know that there are many teachers that get all riled up about writing in, quote, too much fingering. But the most important thing about writing and fingering is that either the student does it themselves or you write what the students tell you. So if their handwriting is really, really messy, or they're not particularly good at writing in a way that they don't really understand where to put the numbers, you can always write what they say, but that's different than solving the problem for them or having them just play by finger number, which also I do sometimes. To be honest, sometimes I teach just things by rote and we have fun playing that way. But I think the more important thing is just to have them really compare in this particular piece. It's a very simple piece. The third line and the first line are identical. Have them look at those things and try to figure out where things change and how they change. That's really the most important part of this piece. And then, the big moment at the end where there's a crossover, those are the kinds of things kids live for. They just like that simple, ending with a flourish. So they'll play dee da da da, they make funny faces and stuff like that. But this is just a simple piece that teaches some basic tee dum bum ba dum, just that basic kind of playing. And I think the only thing that I would caution people is in a piece like Rope Swing, sometimes kids will not play this time signature. They'll play dee dum ba, da 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 da, which is really annoying, right? Because then you come out with half of it's in 4 and half of it's in 3. Whenever you have that dilemma, you've got two choices. One is you can let them do it, which I do sometimes. But better than that probably is to play a little of it for them. Dee dum bum, just play that accompaniment. And they will notice that when they go dee dum bum, you already played the next downbeat. So there are lots of ways that you can get it into their ear correctly, but playing in 3 is not always the easiest thing for kids. So if you get it in their ear correctly, they're much less likely to start the piece in 4. And also just remember, they're not trying to annoy you. I mean, when they're counting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, that makes total sense to them. So they're not trying to just make you angry. That's just how they think, right? There was a bar line there, so that means you better take a little break. 1, 2, 3. So this is the kind of piece where, here, you can just see the things that I did with this piece. So on this particular piece, the student I was teaching this to, we needed to color code the right and left hand. So we just colored one hand, yellow and one hand pink, because it switches back and forth, which is not necessarily super intuitive at this stage, right? These pieces at this stage tend to be a little more right hand for a while, left hand for a while. So that's another challenge of this piece, but it's also what makes it more interesting to play. Yes, there are dynamics in this piece, and I wouldn't break my brain trying to do the dynamics too much, except to try to make it sound musical. So in other words, when you play a phrase like da 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 da, it does say to do diminuendo. And it sounds better if you do a diminuendo. But what I like to do usually is, if I don't like what the student did, I'll say, I'll play it the way they did, except more exaggerated. Like, say they went da 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 da, I'll play it really ugly, and then I'll say, which way do you like? Da 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 da. Which way do you like it better? I have one student, I still have him. He's now 13. And the only way you can communicate with him is to say everything the opposite way. So if you want it to get louder, you have to ask him to get softer. And this is our piece that we made one of his very first lessons. So everything has to be the opposite way around. You have to give the opposite instruction, and then you get what you really actually wanted. It's pretty fascinating, actually. But that's what I'm saying. Just find the kids that you have and teach them the way that they need to be taught.
That is really good advice. And hopefully we all have the strength to do that all the time. There's the bigger challenge.
This is a child who's very, very difficult to parent. But for 45 minutes a week, and I'm getting paid, I'm really good with him.
Well, he's very lucky to have you in his life. That is for sure. What else would you like us to know about the rope swing?
I don't think there's anything else that you need to know about the rope swing. Just make sure you play the duet with it because it makes it more fun.
We absolutely will. My guest today has been Diane Hidy. Her piece on the new National Federation of Music Clubs Festivals list is The Rope Swing. You can find it in her book, Attention Grabbers Book 1, at fine music retailers near you. Thank you so much for being here today, Diane.
You're welcome.